888-203-1155. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 24th day of October 2018. I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful evening and that you're raring to go this morning. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. You can join us in the conversation by calling us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, you can email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. We also have a WhatsApp number. That WhatsApp number is 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show as well. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. So many ways of reaching us, and we know that many of you take advantage of that opportunity to reach out to us, call in, send us emails, text messages to express your viewpoints. And in order for us to have this show, we certainly do rely on the sponsors who choose to assist us here on Radio Cayman, and in particular For the Record. So, as you know, we have another sponsor on board, which is Cayman Airways. And Cayman Airways are one of our newest sponsors on For the Record, actually. And I want to remind you that they are offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City, the Big Apple. And that will be starting this December. Daily flights. Now, that doesn't change the fact that we do have, I think it's twice or 3 weekly daily flights to New York as it stands, but you will have daily flights every day of the week starting in December. So you should start making plans by calling Cayman Airways Reservation 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your flights today. That is for your daily direct flight, non-stop flights to the Big Apple, New York City. We have no guests in the studio yet. Today is the day normally reserved for Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and he's on his way in, so he will be with us soon. I would encourage you, those of you who sometimes complain that I cut you off a little bit early, I don't give you enough time. Some people believe that depending on what the person is saying, I either let them talk a little bit longer or cut them off if it's something that I don't want to hear. I don't necessarily agree with those viewpoints, but this is an opportunity for you to call in now, and you probably will get a little bit more talking time if you call when there are no guests in the studio. So here's an opportunity for you. Meanwhile, I have a few questions. I see on one of our local news websites here, they have announced the merger of the two legal fraternities here in the Cayman Islands. I'm a little bit surprised with that, unless something has changed, because I recall seeing notice being sent out, but there was advice given that the release of that information was embargoed until 12 o'clock on Wednesday, but yet I have seen that on one of the online news sites, which is unfortunate. And I think that particular news site was taken to task by one of the ministries recently for their, what the ministry termed as imprecise or inexact reporting on the Georgetown Revitalization Program, and the fact that they were talking about the destruction of rooting up trees. And I will read from that release by that statement from the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. It is pretty long, and I'll try to paraphrase where I can. And this was issued yesterday, 23rd of October. It reads, last week, Cayman News Service published an article which falsely claimed government plans a mass removal of trees in Georgetown. This article misrepresents statements made at the NRA's Road Safety Conference by the team leading the Georgetown Revitalization Project, and is driven by assumptions and opinions and not fact-based reporting. Again, they're saying probably more sensational news reporting than anything else. They go on to explain that at the conference, a presentation was made to give attendees a preview of the strategy behind the revitalization plan and how road design and safety of all types of traffic was being considered in the context of this project. The presentation also provided an overview of the purpose and intention of the Georgetown Revitalization Project, which is to bring life back into the country's capital. And I would add to that, bring life back, especially in those periods when there is no cruise ship activity on the waterfront, mainly weekends and at nights. I would add those are the things that people want to see as well. Goes on to say the redesign of the space will be guided by the principles of new urbanism, which prioritize workable connectivity, mixed use and sustainable trees, landscaping, green/open spaces will be an important and prominent aspect of the redesign. Leading the project is the newly appointed Georgetown manager, Colin Lumsden. Mr. Lumsden is the architect who joins us from the Public Works Department, bringing 20 plus years of expertise to the project. To begin the process of the redesign and community and stakeholder involvement and input will be a key. In fact, some stakeholder engagements has already taken place, and more is planned to ensure the needs of the people are factored in the redesign. The project team is also exploring ways in which some immediate changes and improvements can be made, which could include altering sidewalks in an effort to provide more and safer walking space for pedestrians. In addition, there will be landscaping improvements. It goes on to say that at the conference it was mentioned that a park in Georgetown was being beautified as part of the overall revitalization plan. Part of that beautification process would require trimming back shrubbery that is currently blocking one of the monuments in the park. The beautification efforts would not include the mass removal of trees, and I will repeat. The beautification efforts will not include the mass removal of trees and would not be done without purpose, as implied by the Cayman News Service article. Creating more green spaces have always been a priority for government. The Georgetown Revitalization Project aims to create a bustling, vibrant town with lots of greenery, not less trees. We are disappointed that something so positive could be taken out of context and portrayed so negatively. The revitalization of Georgetown will take time, but we are committed to ensuring our people are involved in the process and that it will be sustainable as well. So that's the statement from the ministry in relation to the Cayman News Service's article, which, in their opinion, seemed to be sensational. And we see that quite a bit when it comes to news reports, either in print or otherwise, where you want to get the big headline. So you put something up there that will attract people's attention, and then when you start to drill down and you read the contents of the article, then it is something different, or you find that people will cherry pick from statements being made, conferences. They will cherry pick what they want out of it and highlight that, as opposed to giving a broader view. Some people will refer to that as misinformation, disinformation. Some people call it fake news, whatever. But it is incumbent upon those who are disseminating information to the public to do it in a responsible way, and to do it responsibly and not to try to skew the facts as they are. We see it happening now in the discussions, with the port as well. Some people accusing others of dishonesty, and in the opinion of many, it's like pot cursing the kettle black. Well, that's a good way to start the conversation this morning with our Georgetown Central MLA, because the Georgetown Revitalization Project will fall right into the lap of his constituents as well. Mr. Bryan, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to your listening audience. It's a pleasure to be here yet again. Interesting that you bring up the topic about news as well as about Georgetown Revitalization, two topics that I'm directly related to, formerly and presently.
Okay, which is a good point. That was just their introduction, because we're going to go to a news break, and then when we return, we will get into the meat of the conversation. Please stay tuned For the Record. We'll be back shortly.
Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Nesta Alexandria Ebanks, 1901 through 1997. Miss Nesta, or Aunt Nettie as her relatives and neighbors called her, was involved in the religious and social life of her community from an early age. She had many talents. She wrote debates and composed poems, one of which was set to music and is still sung in church. She held high office in various organizations. She visited the sick and shut-in. When there were no satin-lined caskets available, she used the traditional methods of pinking the sheet, making beautiful coverings for the coffins, designed with just scissors. She taught classes of mathematics and English to neighbors and friends when there were few schools. Although she never married, she single-handedly raised one of her grandnieces whose mother died in childbirth. She was also a nurse and invented various medicines.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Cayman National would like to remind our customers to activate their new chip cards as soon as possible. All cards were mailed out, and we urge customers to check their mailbox regularly for their new card. Once received, please visit any of our 23 ATMs to activate your card. Doing a simple balance inquiry, which is free of charge, will activate your card. If you do not have a PIN or have forgotten your PIN, please visit one of our 7 customer service centers to PIN your card. Thank you for banking with us at Cayman National Bank.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Our pharmacists are here to assist you with questions you may have about your health and the medications you've been prescribed. With West Bay Pharmacy and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, the Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. We care about your health.
You remember the sale at Vamp Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice. The one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on. But now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself while they still have so much to choose from now through October. Save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vamp Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back. Add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vamp Motors will help you drive it home. Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Cayman Kind is the Cayman experience.
We work at the Cayman Craft Market.
It is a myth that we do not need the cruise ship industry.
It is a fact that when there are no ships in port, we do not earn a living. We depend on the cruise industry, and if it was to reduce by half, many others just like us would suffer immensely. We want to work and provide for our families.
We need the pier.
Support the piers. Support our tourism.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record, with your host, Orett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and as you know, he represents Georgetown Central in our legislature. Mr. Bryan.
Good morning again, OC. As I was saying before we went to the break, it's a pleasure to be here. So good morning to all the listening audience. And just in case there's any kids who are listening, good morning to you, because I know many of you probably are at home on your midterm break. I hope you're enjoying yourself, but remember to try to get some of those homeworks done while you're enjoying yourself at home. And don't watch too much TV. Remember to grab a book to read, okay? And everybody else who's listening on the way to work, I hope you guys enjoy your day and woke up with a positive mentality in respect to going through your day. Osi, you were speaking about Georgetown revitalization and news media in respect to sometimes selling something that a little stronger than what it may be. And for me, that has become a common practice. I don't think that the Cayman News Service has been doing anything any different than any other media house recently. It is a common practice by all medias across the world to draw readers in or draw listeners in if you're watching TV and viewers. And I think for some time, Cayman News Service has been giving some good content to the Cayman Islands in respect to investigating and bringing things to light. So they play their role in what they call the fourth arm of government, which is the media. Because I come from that background, I understand the importance of it. I know they're not always perfect. But if we're going to bring up and highlight the
I say the media in general, but in this particular article, the release by the ministry was directed specifically at Cayman News Service for that particular piece of reporting. But what I say in general, I say that they have a tendency to, whether it's print media or
otherwise. So by all means, I think that, we all have a responsibility to keep an eye on the media, because media has a serious power. But thankfully, it's not as bad as some media houses in the United States, where they're blatantly one side or the other. But I still think all the media houses in Cayman, including Radio Cayman, play a vital role in dissemination of information.
No question.
But moving on now to the topic at hand, which is the Georgetown revitalization and its plans by government. I must say I'm not the happiest representative in respect to this topic. Funny enough, I sent an email just last night, and it was to the minister himself, because I'm a bit disappointed that I'm constantly having to have secondary information sent to me or hearing about things in the media when it relates to matters of concern for Georgetown Central. Like recently, that same release that you just read, has to do with the fact that there was a presentation at a conference, and talking about the Georgetown revitalization and any ideas or plans. You can't say plans because at this particular point there's no concrete plans per se. But if there's going to be any public dissemination or discussion about it, you would think that I think I would be the people of Georgetown Central and their representative would be given the due respect to at least be invited or presented with the information in respect to it.
And this was specifically for to discuss the Georgetown revitalization?
No, but one would assume that the ministry would be knowing that they will be presenting any information or presentations or discussions about the topic.
But is that fair? I mean, if they call a news conference to specifically talk about the Georgetown revitalization plan, I would say yes. But if it is something that comes up during the course of other discussions, like if there's a conference and something else and they happen to mention, then you wouldn't. You shouldn't have the same expectation in terms of being involved in it.
Well,
I don't think that's my view.
And fair enough. You're allowed to have your view. I think that this was something that was well aware of. The fact that they selected a town manager, a person who I respect tremendously, and I think is going to be well capable of doing the job. So I'm quite excited for Mr. Collin, and I'm proud that he's been selected. But there's so much information in respect to the Georgetown revitalization that I've been excluded from. I'm having to reach out to the ministry to try to keep abreast. For too long, members of the opposition constantly have to try to call government to get information about constituencies of their own. You've heard for some time, and most people may remember, Mr. Arden McLean referring to the fact that, things that happen in this constituency, he has to constantly push and say, I want to know what's going on in my constituency. And this is quite similar, the same situation. It would have been good to have known through the ministry level that a town manager was selected to do this job and who it may be. Before the media, I had to find out through the media like the average person. I am the representative of the constituency. I didn't know that. I had to find him on Facebook myself and reach out to him to say, listen, can we meet? I think that's not the appropriate process. I think if I was the minister and I was doing something in a constituency of somebody else that represent that area, try my best to keep them involved. By all means, I know that the government is the power of the day and they will make the final decision. That's how democracy works in respect to the people electing the government. But I think it's appropriate that you keep the representative of that area involved. And yet again, I'm seeing actions of that not happening. I had to literally WhatsApp the minister to say, listen, can I get an update? And the message to me was to send an email to this person and they'll let me know. So ultimately, last night, after some consideration, I had to send an email to the minister, which I hope that I can get a response on. And I think it's important that the public knows what I said to him, because I don't think it's appropriate that I am left out of the discussions and process of the Georgetown revitalization, because though Georgetown revitalization, some of the areas of concern fall in Georgetown North, and some of the areas of concern also fall in Georgetown West, I believe. Majority, if not 80% of it, falls directly in central Georgetown, which is my constituency. And I take my responsibility seriously, and I shouldn't have to be trying to dig up information as what's happening. If somebody says, Kenneth, what's happening in Georgetown Central, I should be abreast of that and not have to wait till the media finds out before I find out. So I wrote this letter, and I'll try to see if I can get this in before we go to the news. But it says, Dear Minister Hugh, as the elected representative for Georgetown Central, it is incumbent of me to be aware and informed of all matters relating and directly affecting my constituency. With that being said, I would appreciate that I be included in any public presentations regarding any plans that relate to the Georgetown Central constituency. Sadly, I was not notified that there was going to be a presentation on plans or ideas of Georgetown revitalization in a recent public conference. I do respect and accept that I am not a part of the government, but I am due the respect of being notified on anything the government plans to do in my constituency of which I represent before it's made public. I do believe it would be appropriate that I be involved in the process of revitalizing Georgetown Central, even if only to give input or to be kept up to speed with the plans and the progress. I look forward to receiving an invite to give me the same presentation that other members of the public were privileged to. I hope that you respect my requests, and so that we both can meet our political responsibilities to the people. And I think unfortunately, I hate the fact that I had to send that email, but either whether it's just a mishap where people just say, oh, I forgot to tell Kenneth. At the end of the day, my job, I take it very seriously, and I don't want my constituents saying you don't know what's going on in your constituency. So anything that's happening, I would appreciate that the government keeps me abreast, regardless of whether you think I'll agree or not. I don't have the final say. You have the numbers. You have the majority. You are the government. But at least keep me informed. That amount of respect is due. So I hope that the government, I'm expecting hopefully a response from him at some point. But I have concerns. People have come to me about the Georgetown revitalizations, and they want their input. By all means, I don't think that the government or the minister has any ill intentions in respect to the tree factor. But it has come up already, where many Georgetowners, you remember when they used to have those big trees in front of the courthouse, and they took them down to do the Hero Square element.
Yeah.
So people have a little
big Guinness tree there.
Yeah. So many people have concerns about losing that. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, we've reached the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. We're going to the 8 o'clock news now, folks. Please stay tuned. Conversation with Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue immediately after the news.
Radio Cayman time check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you courtesy of Price Right.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Priced Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access.
Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego with your latest news. A woman is assaulted in a West Bay home by a man she knows. Police say they were dispatched by 911 just before 1:45 p.m. on Sunday to investigate a report of a serious assault. A man had reportedly attacked the woman with a knife and then left the scene. The victim was taken to the Cayman Islands hospital to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The incident is currently under police investigation. The Auditor General's report on workforce planning and management in the Cayman Islands government is up for discussion as the Public Accounts Committee meets this morning. The Honourable Gloria McField-Nixon, Acting Deputy Governor, and Mrs. Andrea Fa'amoy, Acting Chief Officer in the portfolio of the Civil Service, are both scheduled to appear. Communication took center stage at the mass casualty scenario involving dozens of first responders.
It's a structured system that uses the same terminology across many jurisdictions. So, for instance, if we went from here to Barbados using an incident command system and an emergency response, we would all be using the same terminology. And that lends for advanced training and advanced organization.
That's Mass Incident Instructor Andrew McLaughlin, who says each scenario is designed to teach the first responders how to cope with stressful situations on site in a timely manner that could save lives.
Say, for instance, we have a mass casualty incident, maybe an aircraft, 110 passengers, right? We can't take all 110 of them over to the hospital because we would instantly overwhelm the hospital and we'd be moving the disaster from one area to the next. So we have to set the field up to ensure that, number one, we use safe practices while we're trying to help save lives and protect property, and that we've got a good enough organization to slowly bring those people to the treatment that they need, but holding them on the field until the hospital can handle the load coming in.
Mr. McLaughlin says once trained, each responder will be able to function in the event of a disaster, no matter where they are in the Caribbean. In other local news,
I had always been doing my homework in a mom and pop's grocery store, so retail is what I really knew.
How did Mr. Parker Tibbetts go from those humble beginnings to a successful businessman? You can find out this Saturday night at the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards at the Ritz-Carlton. Mr. Tibbetts will be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at the event and shares some of the secrets of his success.
Honesty is a big key in business, and fairness. In fact, I will tell you that on my tombstone, I would like to know that they put, "Here lies an honest gentleman." That's what I would like to see there. And I've tried to build that reputation in all my years.
The event also includes awards to companies in 6 categories, recognizing their achievements in business and the community. You can find out more by contacting the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce or purchase tickets online at eventpro.ky. We now turn to the BBC with a check of international news. That's it from me. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego.
BBC News with Jonathan Izard. The European Parliament has given the go-ahead for an EU-wide ban, a law banning throwaway plastic products such as plates, cutlery and straws. The Parliament will ask the European Commission to draft a ban that member states must put into their national laws. An estimated 150,000 tonnes of plastic waste from Europe ends up in the sea every year. The British Prime Minister Theresa May says her government is taking action against all those under suspicion in the murder of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Mrs May told Parliament that if any of the suspects had visas for the UK, they would be revoked. The Saudi authorities have arrested 18 people in connection with the killing. Italy's fair trade watchdog has fined Apple and Samsung nearly $6 million each over software updates that slowed down their mobile phones. The antitrust body said some supposed upgrades had reduced performance significantly, pushing consumers into buying new handsets. Nigeria's parliament has passed an electoral act which will make it mandatory for electronic card readers to be used in next year's elections. Some polling stations used the machines in the 2015 election. Vote rigging is common in Nigeria and the card readers are designed to help prevent fraud. A final round of peace talks to end a political crisis in Burundi has been postponed until Thursday after the government said it would not attend. The talks are meant to heal the deep divisions that emerged after President Pierre Nkurunziza stood for a controversial third term in 2015. Mozambique is sending police officers to neighbouring Tanzania, where more than 100 people were arrested last week on suspicion of trying to set up militant bases in Mozambique. There have been at least 50 attacks in the north of the country by an Islamist militant group. BBC News.
Access to information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This October at Kirk Home Center, get grilling with a smokeless grill for $56.49. Save on power tools with Milwaukee's 2-tool combo kits, complete with contractor bags starting at $235.59. Hang fresh pressed clothes or dry clothes on a garment rack for $27.99 and store away items in an 18-gallon storage tote for $9.69.
Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go.
Meet the world with Puritan Cleaners. Ask about our ongoing discounts on wearing apparel and household items. Put your pickup tickets in the box at any of our 4 stores for your chance to win in our Christmas drawing. 4 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Centennial Towers, West Bay, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive through rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery. Call Puritan Cleaners at 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
In financial news, world markets were mixed on Wednesday as traders mulled the impact of tariffs on corporate America after big industrial companies admitted that they were facing rising costs. Keeping score, the CAC 40 in France jumped 1% to 5,017, and Germany's DAX added 0.4% to 11,318. Britain's FTSE 100 picked up 0.4% to 6,983. Wall Street looked set for a bleak open, though, with the contract for the S&P 500 down 0.6%. And that for the Dow Jones Industrial Average off 0.5%. The head of Apple on Wednesday endorsed tough privacy laws for both Europe and the U.S. and renewed the technology giant's commitment to protecting personal data, which he warned was being weaponized against users. Speaking at an international conference on data privacy, Apple CEO Tim Cook applauded European Union authorities for bringing in a strict new data privacy law this year and said that iPhone maker fully supports a U.S. federal privacy law. And the U.S. will not send a high-ranking official to attend a major investment fair in China next month, the U.S. Embassy said Wednesday, in a move underscoring worsening trade frictions between the world's 2 largest economies. That is your financial news here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Up a nice boy. This Wednesday, the season finale for Brianna Bodden is Season of Service. You don't want to miss it.
Party's coming in. I can't wait.
Great food, fun times, and new music.
Plus, we on midterm break, so we can sleep in late after all that fun.
Sleep in late? What happened? You need beauty rest, or?
Speaking of beauty, YCLA finalist Casey Mobler will be on Youth Flex this week.
It sounds like it's going to be a beautiful show.
Along with Melanie Mockfield from Parrot Seek office.
Our word of the week is dormitory. DORMITORY. It is a noun that means a large bedroom for a number of people in a school or institution.
In my bedroom, let's take a trip to the moon.
So join us this Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM for the season finale of Season of Service. For Youth Flex, a program for all people by young people. Youth Flex, more than talk.
Did you know that you can download free hurricane preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website? Visit us online at www.waterauthority.ky to learn more about how you can prevent damage and minimize danger in the event of a storm. Prepared, be aware, be safe. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
The boarding school fair is back Sunday, November the 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Grand Cayman Marriott Resort. Don't miss this opportunity to speak with over 40 representatives from various junior and college prep boarding schools for grades 6 to 12 from across the United States and Canada. Parents and students can learn firsthand about the advantages of attending these prestigious educational institutions, including academics, curriculum, extracurricular activities, sports and cultural programs, application processes, SSAT requirements, and financial aid. The 2018 Boarding School Fair, Sunday, November 11th at the Grand Cayman Marriott. Register today at www.bettywalker.com. That's BEDIWALKER.com, or for more information, contact Neil Murray at 925-8793 or email l-murray at candw.ky.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Good morning, Cayman. Let's take a look at your latest weather, all courtesy of Brand Source. Present temperature 79 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like about 85. Sunny conditions on the outside, relative humidity 88%, winds are calm, barometric pressure at 29.91 and holding. Synopsis for today. Light to moderate winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure weakens over the southeast U.S. Forecast for today, mainly fair skies, very little chances of showers. Temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Later on tonight, mainly fair skies, very little chances of showers. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. It's going to be high tide at 9:19 this morning. It's going to be low at 3:19 this afternoon and high at 8:46 this evening. For tomorrow, low tide is at 3:22 a.m., high at 9:55 a.m., low at 3:51 p.m. and high at 9:18 p.m. Sunset for this evening is at 5:55, sunrise for tomorrow at 6:24. And the outlook is for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Brand Source Home Gallery is celebrating 48 years serving Cayman with a 20% store-wide anniversary sale. Get 20% off everything for 2 days only, Friday and Saturday, October 26th and 27th. Choose from Cayman's largest range of kitchen and laundry appliances. Browse the huge mattress selection and save 40% off. Check out the Design Center and save 20% on your custom designed kitchen, bathrooms, or closets. And browse the beautiful bath showroom for the most elegant and innovative bath products in Cayman. The Brand Source 20% off store-wide anniversary sale is Friday and Saturday, the 26th and 27th. Open until 6 p.m. both days. So hurry in now to Brand Source Home Gallery in Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more details.
All right, morning. Let's take a look at traffic conditions. Coming out of the east, things are moving along fairly well along Shamrock Road and onto Linford Pearson Highway or Crew Road. Of course, expect some delays when you're near Georgetown. And, of course, the intersection there at Smith Road on Huldah Avenue, of course, very much busy with incoming traffic off of Bobby Thompson Way. Huldah Avenue, very much clear, and you're heading up to North Sound Road or through Elgin Avenue. Should experience a little traffic as schools is still out, so not much traffic to deal with. Looking at traffic coming off the Estate Tibbetts Highway, it looks quite good. No reports of any incidents or fender benders for the moment. Let's keep it like that because we have been going too much of accidents of lately. So buckle up and stay safe. Coming up, your sport report. And just want to give you a heads up, Cayman Brac fans, the Radio Cayman team will be in Cayman Brac on Wednesday doing registrations for the Brac Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. Stop by Cayman National Bank from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Star Island from 1 to 2:30 p.m. to register for this year's charity 5K Walk Run taking place on November 24th. Of course, proceeds from this year's Brac Breeze Fusion event will be going to support the So and So Club.
Radio Cayman's premier health show,
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush,
is brought to you on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on 89.9 and 93.9 FM. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association. For more information on how you can become a member or the benefits of the CICSA, please visit www.cicsa.ky. For your convenience, the CICSA offices are open on Mondays from 9 to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m.
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush.
In local sports, the 2018 Cayman Islands Flag Football Association finals did not disappoint as the league's top 4 teams put on a show in 2 epic battles. The Burger King Panthers cemented an undefeated 14-0 season and back-to-back men's titles, defeating Uncle Clem's Wolves 10-7. Panthers captain Jermaine Sharp says the game could have gone either way.
It was a very close game. 3-0 game is a hell of a game to come up, and we went through the season, we gave an average of 3 points for the entire season, and to win the game by 3 points is a close hair maker. It could have gone either way really easily last week. And coming out here against this squad, these guys, they played together very well. They've found their momentum, and for us to be able just to pull out together like that was really impressive for us, I feel. Shout out to my entire team, Burger King, our sponsors, everybody else that came out and supported us. Once again, Burger King Panthers, top of the league.
In the women's final, HSM Vipers took down Greenhouse Lynx in a very close encounter that went into overtime. But a stout Vipers defense will cement the three-peat in a 7-6 final. Audio there courtesy of Cayman Business Buzz. In sports elsewhere, the presence of Cristiano Ronaldo at Old Trafford revived memories of much better times at Manchester United when England's biggest club had a slew of the world's best players and no trophy felt beyond them. It was only a decade ago, after all, that United was winning the Champions League and 3 straight Premier League titles. Ronaldo was the poster boy of the generation that included Wayne Rooney, Carlos Tevez, and Rio Ferdinand. Blake Griffin scored a career-high 50 points and had the game winner after he was fouled on a driving layup with 1.8 seconds left as Detroit topped Philadelphia 133-132 in a wild overtime thriller on Tuesday night. J.J. Riddick's 4-point play with 5 seconds left in overtime set up Griffin's dramatics, while Joel Embiid, who had 33 points and 11 rebounds, missed a potential game winner at the buzzer. Riddick had 30 points and scored a 3-pointer while being fouled by Reggie Jackson after the Pistons' point guard made 2 free throws to take a 130-128 lead. That's the latest in sports here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record with Orett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan, and he has several topics that he wants to discuss this morning and information that he wants to get out there to the public as well. Mr. Bryan.
Thanks again, OC. Before we left, I was discussing about hoping to have involvement with the Georgetown revitalization. In respect to anything that is happening, as I am the representative for Georgetown Central. So I hope that I get a positive response from the government and then being involved in the process in any capacity with anything that's happening in my constituency. I would like to take this opportunity now to move on to some of the questions for our listening audience. We'll be going into the second sitting of Parliament or of the Legislative Assembly for this legislative year, so to speak, because the legislative year is not like the calendar year. So this is the second sitting of this year legislative calendar, which will be on the 14th of November. We will start back. So obviously as a representative, ways and means of me to do my job on the opposition is to bring motions which calls for government to take certain actions on behalf of you, the people. Also to hold government to account, so to speak, by ways of questions, and we are allowed to put questions to ministers. So I've submitted a number of them. I want to read some of them off and potentially expand on what the purpose of them are, and also to read out one of the motions that I'm happy to announce, got an agreement to have it seconded by the Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader, Alva Suku. A motion that I am excited about because I think it could potentially solve a major problem in the country. So before I get into the motion, because I think the motion will spark some negotiations or some discussions with the public, and I want to hear back from the listening audience, I'm going to read some of the questions that I have first.
Sure.
The first one being, and this goes to the Honourable Premier. It says, can the Minister say whether Cabinet has considered my request for government to purchase the property in the Georgetown Central area marked as Block 14C, Parcel J22? If so, can the Minister give an update on the matter? Many of the listening audience who follow me politically may know that I have requested for the government to purchase the property that is used as a community park in the Georgetown Central area off of Miles Lane, where the Georgetown Central Committee uses on an annual basis for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas time and all that. And it was privately owned for quite some time, and the owner allowed the community to use it for a park. And we thank that owner so much for so many years of free allowance to use the property. Once it was announced that it was up for sale, I called the government right away. I said, can you consider finding the monies available to purchase this and to allow it to continue to be a community park for the citizens and residents of the Georgetown Central area, particularly down in Martin Drive and Miles Lane. So I'm hoping to have an answer on that. I know that the government in July went back to the LA in Finance Committee to get some supplementary funding to acquire properties. Unfortunately, due to scheduling, and I was told at that time that Parliament would not be sitting in July. I booked my family vacation from the 1st of July until later on in the middle of July. And the Premier called an emergency sitting on the 2nd, I believe. So I missed the opportunity to put the questions to them now at that stage to say, if you're going to be allocating more funds, can you make sure the funds are allocated for this position? That I'm a little bit upset about, because he knows that I expressed by email to say, please, I want to know exact dates because I'm booking my family vacations. And, my wife is from England and my in-laws are from there. So it would be very costly for me and my family to change the dates. Yep. But they still called it while I was away.
You said it was an emergency meeting?
Nope, it wasn't.
It wasn't an emergency meeting. It was just a regular.
Just a regular sitting. Okay. And I'm not going to, the games are going to be played. So I'm not going to get on that. I just want to know that if you knew that I put in a request for monies for this park and you call a meeting to get money for other things in respect to lands and purchasing of lands, it was a perfect opportunity for you to address my request for my people. So this question will then respond to that. Mm-hmm. So let's see if he answers that, right? Not to try to...
And your questions have already been approved and everything?
Yes.
And
they've been submitted already. Yes.
Okay.
And the second question is, can the minister say whether the government or the Ministry of Tourism is paying for any advertising that suggests, quote unquote, signing the referendum petition equals to a no vote for the port? And that's respect to the Honourable Minister and Deputy Premier, Honourable Moses Colonel. And I've expressed publicly here and elsewhere that I don't think it's appropriate for the government to be paying for advertising that suggests that. Now, that is my opinion. I know you may differ in that, but the quote in itself is wrong. It's illegal, in my view, because unless you have some sort of documentation from the cruise lines to say, if you have a referendum, we will not be indulged with the port. Unless you have that, you cannot just assume, particularly when it comes to something as democratic as the people's right to choose, to suggest that it's equal to a no vote. So you can muddle that words to say, sign a petition, there's a potential chance that will be no port, but you cannot say it equals to. And I'm willing to challenge that in any court. So I want to know whether they're using the government's, the people's money to do that. Number 3, Can a minister say how many employees at the Department of Environmental Health are on temporary contracts and why? Now, as you know, the government is in negotiations with ex-parties to, I think it's fair to say, privatize some elements of waste in this country. I've had some major concerns because there's been people on contract for a long period of time. 3 months, 6 months.
Some just 1 month.
Just 1 month.
1 month at a
right?
time.
Now, I have worries about that because what I think is happening is there is definitely the need within the Department of Environmental Health to help with the waste management. We see how much problems that we're having every single day with the collection of waste. And I would dare say that I'm concerned that there could be some conspiracy to continue to undermine that department in effort to give merit to privatization. So if it continues to look like it's not being managed properly, then, go ahead and sell it off. And that's my thoughts. I have no foundation of that, but that's what I feel is transpiring.
Mm-hmm. And if I can interrupt for a second, since we're on that topic,
yes.
I notice that garbage is now starting to pile up. And these are in neighborhoods, where there are private homes as opposed to rented properties where sometimes tenants have a tendency to take things and not necessarily be as careful in putting out their garbage. But for instance, in the Lower Valley, Savannah area, garbage is piling up now. I've seen instances where it's actually on the ground. Now, we can also question whether or not, if there's so much garbage out there, should you really put it on the ground or should you keep it closer to your house until such time? But then when they're coming out there at 5 o'clock in the morning,
how do you know?
How do you know? And then you have it beside the house now, and not enough time to get it out there. But it is piling up. So I think, again, there's going to be some criticism for the department in that regard. So they may want to be proactive and, again, put out some bulletins in terms of telling people the revised schedule, what's happening in the various districts.
And see, you're 100% right. I think that would be something that would be prudent for them to do to be more effective. My concern is that we've been dealing with this waste problem for about over a year now, right? And the question is, are you suggesting that our department, our Cayman Islands government, cannot solve just a routine collection of waste? I could understand if there was some issues and it took you about 3 months to resolve it, find the monies for new equipment or rehiring some more staff or what have you. 3 months to 6 months could be a reasonable time to say, okay, they've had time to fix the problem. It's been over a year, almost a year and a half since I've been elected. And this problem of picking up waste has been continuing and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And I honestly believe in my heart that it's like they want it to fail in order to have justification for sale. Which brings me to the contracts of persons who are in temporary employment at the dump. Why are they on temporary when we know that the collection of waste is not being done properly? So, and if you need that individual, why are they only on their temporary? And why a series of temporaries? There needs to be some justification for that. And in my mind, and I hope the minister is listening, because I'm not going to put this away. I'm worried that it's an intentional move not to have more employees attached to the Department of Environmental Health in respect to waste management and collection, because it may affect the privatization of that department. You know that in any sale or any merger, wages and the employment obligations to employees there is a major concern. And if somebody said, okay, I want to take over the dump, they may say, well, how many employees do they have there? And don't hire anybody else until we agree to this. So you see this problem where they're trying to collect the garbage but don't have enough people, but they don't want to hire anybody else because it could affect the deal of this merger or this takeover. And they have these people on temporary. Those are Caymanians. Not only that, OC, as you know, most people who work at the Georgetown landfill and the Department of Environmental Health are Georgetowners. They're my people. You understand? And if the minister or this government think that I'm just going to stay silent, they can think again in respect to this topic. Now, I'm trying to be as respectful in respect to the topic, but there needs to be some answers as to what is transpiring at the Department of Environmental Health, because it seems very fishy. And if you think that you're going to have an agreement later on where you undermine my people and then you slowly let them go when you privatize it, that ain't going to happen either.
It has to be unsettling for an employee to know that you're employed, but you don't know what's going to happen the next month.
Exactly.
Whether or not you're going to be there or not. You can't make any commitments, any financial commitments. And not only that, if someone were to find themselves in a position where they have an opportunity for another job, they're likely to leave and take that job because of the uncertainty surrounding these 1 month extensions of contract.
Yeah. And so I'm not going to dwell too much more on that question because there's so many more that I have to answer. But you get the gist of what I'm concerned about there. So I'm hoping that the minister prepares himself for answers in respect to that when we go to Parliament.
Yeah, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square. Enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore,
Oh, my acid reflux is killing me.
Why don't you get something from the grocery store?
I need something better than any generic quick fix.
You should go to West Bay Pharmacy and have a brief consultation with the pharmacist. I went in last week and within minutes I was back in the car and on the road. And you know what? No more acid reflux.
How long did it take you?
Minutes. Here, give them a call at 945-0777.
West Bay Pharmacy is just around the corner with everything you need in the hours you need it. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. We are here as a team to assist you while taking care of your health. Call us today or visit our website at CaymanPharmacy.com.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record, with your host, Orett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. We're talking about his questions that he's going to has submitted to the Legislative Assembly, and those questions are directed at particular ministries. Mr. Bryan.
Thank you so much, OC. We were on the last question before we went to the break in respect to how many persons are on temporary contract at the Department of Environmental Health and why. Sadly, I just received news that all those persons who are on temporary contract will no longer have their job at the end of this month. I submitted this question last week, and I can guarantee you the ministry got it. So I'm feeling, I could be wrong, that now that the questions are coming in respect to these temporary contracts, they're just zipping them up now and saying, okay, we don't need anybody anymore. You can't do that to people. You can't just have them on temporary. They're Caymanians, and without any vision or plan. And I hope the minister intends to not try to avoid this question and say, oh, he doesn't have the answer ready yet. Today is the 24th. We start on the 14th. That's 20 days from now. So please get your ministry together. And I don't want to hear that when you come to Parliament, the answer isn't ready yet. because it's a very important topic. So I think you should have enough time. That's why I submitted it so far out. Normally, other members of the Parliament, strategically, we wait till the very last minute to submit it because they can do their maneuvering to try to get around it. I've given you enough time, so I expect you to have an answer to the people of this country in respect to what's happening in the waste, why the temporary contracts are there. Now, out of the blue, all of those temporary contracts, the money is dried up. We're going to talk about that. But
okay, we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I have a Miss O.C. and Kenneth Bryan is Dalvin, and I'm afraid to tell them about my name.
Good morning, sir.
Does the government have a problem with money, why they can't collect the garbage, or what?
Sir, I would like to know the answer myself. I honestly would.
Because to me now, they shouldn't have no more problem money because automatically it collects the money from time they get the, if I'm right, I don't know if I'm right, but that's what I heard. From the time that the business people, when they bring in goods, the government getting their money already from
duties.
Before they used to have to chase people up and down, and people didn't used to pay the bills, but now they're getting the money before they even go to the shops. Is that true?
Well, I'll tell you what I remember, and I stand to be corrected, sir. But I remember when they increased the duties from, I think it was 20% to 22%, OC, remind me if I'm correct. At that stage, the concern was because it was hard to collect the duties and fees from individuals, that that 2% increase will just accommodate that whole fee collection process.
Yes.
And so you don't no longer have to collect from the individual.
But businesses were still...
but businesses still had to pay. Yeah. And I know that they're collecting from businesses now. So you're 100% right. The average resident in their area are already paying their fees indirectly by way of consumption of any goods and services or any goods that come into the country. So you're right. They shouldn't have anything to say in respect to they've collected the fees. Not only that, they have a surplus. Yeah. So they can't say they don't have the money.
At one point in time, it had to do with equipment, the garbage trucks. Mm-hmm. And I think there was some question as to whether or not these garbage trucks had actually been ordered. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen anything recently where we've received then a new one. Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Does I have here? I'm just saying I'm here. I didn't, and I'm gonna prove they don't pay no overtime no more for the garbage fee for the garbage fee.
I'm not aware of that, sir. But what I want to do is give the minister the benefit of the doubt to clarify what is happening, because there's obviously a lot of questions that you have, that I have, that many members of the public have. Hence the reason I'm putting the question forward, to give some clarity to what's happening. Because first it was money, it was equipment, we have a surplus, the money is being collected through our duties. What's going on? There shouldn't be any reasons to what's happening. Hence the reason my interpretation or my assumption that there's something sinister happening behind closed doors. And the concern I have is a very great man who is now in charge of that, Mr. Sims. I'm worried that he may be in a compromising position if there's some ulterior motive, and it needs to be clarified. So I want to give the minister the benefit of the doubt to come and clarify to the people, because there's too many questions, and particularly the employees at the Department of Environmental Health are almost 80% Georgetowners. And the other 20% are Caymanians, so my job is to represent them anyway. So okay. I want clarity on it.
We lost that caller, I believe, but we have another one. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am blessed to be a paper Caymanian, and I've lived here for about 28 years. And I'm listening to your discussion this morning, and I just want to share. I drive the island, and I know you're talking about garbage and all that. I have never seen so much garbage strewn across the island, from East End to West Bay, and we hear about so many people out of work, and I'm like, there's jobs available, there's work available. Why is that not happening? I know just before Christmas there's a big, people get jobs to do a cleanup, but truly I've never seen as much garbage on the island, and it's so sad, and I think our tourists are going to start seeing it as well. I just wanted to share that this morning.
Cool.
Why aren't people being given jobs that they need to go and do that?
And caller, I want to thank you so much. And remember, regardless of your paper Caymanian or not, you are a Caymanian now, and you're doing your job to call in and voice your concerns. So I appreciate that. Do that more often.
I love the island, and I'm really sad to see what's happening here. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. And we have one that has been shared with us as well, Marina, and this is Marina Drive Prospect. Garbage continues to be an issue. Why can't this be fixed seriously? This makes us look so third world. And the person has sent images of the garbage bins overflowing. And I could have, this morning, I could have taken photographs of the same thing in a different area in the Cayman Islands.
I want the public to be mindful, before I move on to the next question. Watch carefully what is transpiring with this or sale or takeover or whatever is happening with the government in respect to privatization of that. Pay very close attention. You have to add the dots together. Why over a year now we can't fix this problem? Why is it continuing to happen? We have a surplus. We have the money that can be allocated to fix the problem. Is there something the private sector can do that the government can't do? You mean to tell me we don't have intelligent people at the department to be able to address this problem properly? Mm-hmm. I feel that something is going on. People, please pay close attention, particularly the employees at the Department of Environmental Health.
Okay, one more caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, ma'am.
Mr. Bryan.
Good morning, ma'am.
I have no problem in saying my name neither. This is Shirley Schmidt, West Bay.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard, I'm listening, and I just heard what that lady say. Now, just recently, it has been done down here on Northwest Point Road, just before you get to the Northwest Point Cemetery. The bush and the garbage, because once people see a little bit of bush, they just throw their garbage out of the window, sometimes even in supermarket bags. And the bush was growing out into the road, and this road is, you get to the Turtle Farm. I'm not saying center. I know it as farm, and the Rotary Club Central is still building bus shelters, and it was one down there between the Turtle Farm and Discovery Dolphin. And make I tell you, that bus shelter was always full of garbage. Neither of those attractions even made attempt to clean up the garbage, and that's where some people wait on the bus. Some tourists wait on the bus, and even local people as well. But the minister in charge, Mr. Seymour, he did say garbage trucks were hired, was ordered. Now, in the meantime, all this garbage is piling up on us. There's people out of jobs that has trucks, or they could hire trucks. Why not give them a chance to pick up the garbage while we're waiting on garbage trucks? Does that make sense? Yes, but I guess they got to get a consultant to tell them that. So he did say that garbage trucks were ordered.
Well, rather than him coming on here defending the port, I think he should be focused on this issue.
And you took the words out of my mouth when I heard you said about the people's money in advertisement about the port. Yes, it is the people's money. I, for one, would like to know how much they're spending on that. But yet, the opposition can't get any to spend with all this misinformation to the public, and is scaring the local people that is working out there. It's scaring them. So I wish I could find out what is the amount that they're spending in all this advertisement, that could go for picking up garbage and making our Cayman Islands look decent.
Thank you very much, caller, for that.
Thank
We
you
have to
very
take a
much.
commercial break now. When we return, the conversation with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
You remember the sale at Vant Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice, the one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on, but now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself while they still have so much to choose from now through October. Save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vant Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back, add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vant Motors will help you drive it home. Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
Are you kidding me?
What's wrong?
I ran out of my meds and I have an interview in about an hour.
Why not call CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy? They'll be able to help.
You think so?
Absolutely. Their pharmacists are brilliant for fast, efficient and professional service.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Call us today or visit our website at caymanpharmacy.com.
Thousands of Caymanians work in our cruise tourism industry. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that 4,500 Caymanians work in this industry today as taxi and tour operators, boat captains and crew, restaurateurs, retailers, water sports operators, and ambassadors at our attractions. If our cruise tourism industry is half of what it is today, what are we going to do with our people, the thousands of unemployed Caymanians? Support the peers, support our tourism.
Initiating system.
For information that matter, for the record, with Orett Connor, continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Thank you, OC. I see that with the calls, that is some of these topics are sparking people's interest, and I appreciate that. But I want to try to see if I can move on quickly. But before I do that, folks, those of you who are listening, I've said this before on the floor of the House about questions, and when questions come by members of the LA or opposition, there's a tactical move not to answer questions because either they're not prepared or they want to delay it another time. These questions that I've put in, I've given them a full month notice about this stuff. They can't say they're not prepared to answer them. If they do not answer you, then you know that they just don't want to answer the question. These questions are on your behalf. So all the ministers, I want you to know that the public now knows that these questions have been submitted to you. So when it's time for Parliament and they ask why my questions are not being answered, the people now know that you don't want to answer them. All right, moving on. Can the minister say why were 3 culvert systems installed under the South Sound Road and why there's only one in operation? And that's for Minister Hugh. The reason why I'm concerned about this, as you know, OC, a very long time ago, I think almost 2 decades now, where they put these tunnel systems under the South Sound Road to alleviate a lot of that water that was collecting in the swamps of South Sound.
Well, they were actually there before that. I think they were upgraded after Hurricane Ivan, especially in that area where the new boardwalk has been put down now. But there are some to the east of that as well. Further up, there were culverts there also near to the junction of Old Crew Road and the South Sound Road. There.
Correct. And those 2 junctions that you're speaking of right now have been cut off. Bearing in mind, the purpose of them being installed was to alleviate storm water and rainwater, heavy rains. So the affecting surrounding areas wouldn't be flooded. There's only one left, And right now, that one is connected to a system that is made to alleviate water, particularly close to Randike Garden. And as far as I understand, that one is currently under threat as well. So as a result, I want to understand from the minister why they've been cut off, why is only one in operation, because there has to be reason as to why the planning department allowed them to be closed from a development standpoint of the lands surrounding it. Moving on, question number 5.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you again because we have calls.
No
caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Sorry about that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Brian.
Good morning.
I've been contacting you, but I can't get no response, but I'll wait on you.
And
Mr. Brian, do you know if the boardwalk in South Sound is officially open? Because I drove through there 2 days straight and I see all the fencing is down. I was understanding that you're going to have cabanas up there and you're going to have barbecue grills and so forth. I see a few plants put down there, but I don't know if it's officially open, if it's finished, or what the story is. You can answer that when I hang up. Another one. You know, Mr. Brian and Mr. O.C., here we are. Can't finish a project in the government sector, in their department of buildings. And here we are having all of these water-related deaths in this island. And I am not hearing nothing in the making so we can try to help protect these guys when they come here, or ladies, whoever, these visitors come here to go in our waters.
But is there anything, caller, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Is there anything that points to the fact that what we do here or what we provide here is causing these deaths? I believe in most instances what you find is that there are people who are, especially on the tourist side of things, who are not in the best shape in the world and decide that they have come to a country where there's clear water and they get out there and they start to dive or to swim. And they probably haven't been in a swimming pool in months. There's nothing. I think we have to be careful when we're talking about these water-related deaths to in any way intimate that we here in the Cayman Islands have something to do with it.
Mr. O.C., I am not saying that we have anything to do with it. I am saying that we need some sort of protection on the borderline of the beaches of these places, because we have a lot of high current here and there, especially going east, full of current, and we have no lifeguards on our island, period, that I know of. But that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. We need something put in place and put restrictions in areas similar to own risk, somewhere we got lifeguards. You understand where I'm coming from? So what I'm saying is, for a small island and these people that come here and never been in salt water or never been in a pool, hey, we are still held responsible to a certain degree. Far as I am concerned, because they are on our land and they are in our waters, and it's our government to see that they are protected to a certain degree. But I'll leave you guys at that. You all have a great one.
Thank you very much. Yeah, to a certain degree, there is a responsibility. And I, for one, have advocated that we should have lifeguards, especially on the public beach, right? Now, there are some areas on the waterfront where I believe that people dive from the shore, but the shore that they're diving from, it's privately owned. Those people earn some sort of income from people coming and diving off those areas. That's something else. That's not the government's responsibility.
I think you've handled the answer to that very well in respect to saying that the areas that is publicly earmarked for public swimming, maybe we should be considering lifeguards there. But you can't expect us to have lifeguards all around this country. The cost is too much. But the caller is right. We can do a proactive approach by offering up signages across the island where we know are high swim areas to say, be mindful of your fitness or what have you. The currents sometimes can be strong. When was the last time you had a health check? Those kinds of things. Because you're right, O.C. I think your assessment is correct. people who haven't swum out in the deep waters for probably the last 20 years don't know what their heart is like, and they go out there and they find themselves in trouble and nobody's with them. Offer up buddy systems to say, please don't go out by yourself, those kinds of things, so we can prevent or be proactive in letting people know. But it doesn't look good from a perspective, from the perspective of how many people are passing, but I don't think it is the responsibility of the government as to why it's happening. But I do not want to get my show switched over to a totally different topic. There's a number of
we
other
still
questions.
have about 4 minutes. I just want to say something on that. We have a tendency here to publicize it too much as well.
Yes.
There are probably higher incidents of water-related deaths in other jurisdiction, but they don't take it and put it on the front page of their newspaper. True. Now, does it mean that our news organizations here are starving for news to the point that they have to publish things that could be a detriment to the industry here in the Cayman Islands?
Good point. Maybe there's a moral obligation for them to think about the effects of those news. But it's a good point. Moving on to my next question. Can the minister give an update? And this minister is the Honorable Tyra Rivers. Can the minister give an update on where she is at with the suggested legislative or regulatory changes to deal with the many issues surrounding foreclosures in the Cayman Islands? As you know, she's in charge of the area of banking and financing elements in the country and regulations. So she suggested in a previous sitting of the House that she's currently asking for suggestive new legislation or regulatory procedures into how to best give it more balance in respect to foreclosures in this country. So I would like to know an update on that. There's so many people still continuing to deal with that issue of foreclosures. Question number 6, to the Honorable Deputy Governor. Can he say how the 5% was determined in the cost of living increase for civil servants? I think it's important that we establish how that was done and how you determine 5% as opposed to 3% or opposed to 7%. Was there a long period of time that justified 5%? The reason why I want that to be known is not because I'm suggesting that the 5% wasn't deserving, but for other authorities to have the formula that is used to determine what percentage for a cost of living increase needs to be used. Because one of the concerns I've had from authorities, I've been the defender of saying the authorities should be getting their cost of living increase as well, is that they've been asked to justify your cost of living increase. Well, what formula did the civil service use in respect to their increase? So it can be equivalent to. So let's say, for instance, 10 years have passed, no cost of living increase, we've got to 5%. So maybe an authority has had no cost of living increase in 7 years. What formula did they use? Would they come out at 4.2% increase? You know what I'm saying? That formula has to be explained because you don't want different agencies using different formulas. So and it doesn't seem
I don't
to
think
be.
it's so much the formula, but when were the last increases given in certain agencies, certain public authorities? If they all followed the government increases, and some did, some you will see where when there was a 2-point-something% increase, when there was a 7% increase, that they got it as well. When there was a rollback of some, 3.5%,
all of them did then.
That all of them did as well. So I think it is more along those lines as opposed to how do you calculate whether it should be 5%, whether it should be 2.5% or whatever.
Well, to
see what what your track record is in terms of giving those increases. The other part of it would also be, do you have the funding? Is it going to be additional cost to government as well? Yeah. Going to headline news at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. When we return, the conversation with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Auditor General's report on workforce planning and management in the Cayman Islands government is up for discussion as the Public Accounts Committee meets this morning. The Honourable Gloria McField-Nixon, Acting Deputy Governor, and Mrs. Andrea Fa'amoy, Acting Chief Officer in the portfolio of the Civil Service, are both scheduled to appear. In news elsewhere, a Japanese freelance journalist who was freed after more than 3 years of captivity in Syria said Wednesday he is safe in neighboring Turkey. Japanese Foreign Minister Taro Kono said Japanese embassy officials met with the journalist Junpei Yasuda at an immigration center in southern Turkey near the border with Syria. Lottery officials say someone bought a ticket in South Carolina to win the Mega Millions jackpot with a final total of $1.537 billion, just shy of the all-time world record. The earlier Mega Millions estimate of $1.6 billion would have been a world record of lotteries, but actual sales came in just below the Powerball jackpot prize shared by winners in California, Florida, and Tennessee in January of 2016. The ticket sold Tuesday is worth about $877.8 million in a lump sum cash payment, which most winners choose to take. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Thank you, OC. And moving on to my next question, because I'm trying to get through all of these before the show is finished. And this question goes to the Honorable Attorney General. Can he say if the members of the Legislative Assembly can legally mandate, by way of vote, the governor and his or her deputy to implement a Caymanian-only positions within the civil service? There's a specific reason why I've done that, because, the last time I brought a motion to suggest that the fire chief and the chief immigration officer be a Caymanian-only position. And there was this argument by the government to say, well, we don't have any say in the hiring and firing of civil servants. So I want the Attorney General, who is the legal advisor to this country, to say whether we have the authority
to the government,
that the government has the authority to mandate the civil service head, which is the governor and his deputy, to say that this position is Caymanian only. So I expect from him to go through our constitution and all our legislation to come and give the determination to the House and to these people in the country what the position is, so the government can no longer use that excuse. Because it's an excuse they constantly hide behind that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. So if I am wrong, then he can clarify that. If I am right, then there's no more argument, because that motion is coming back. I can promise you that. Moving on to question number 8. Can the Minister for Education say how teachers are compensated for time that is worked more than they're contractually obligated to? There seems to be some discrepancy as to the expectations of teachers. It's not like a normal 9-to-5 job where you get off, you start at 9, you get off at 5. Teachers are expected to be on a little bit longer. Lunchtime breaks, they're expected to work over. And in most contracts, they state, listen, you could be called on to spend more time than necessary. But it doesn't seem to be any clarity in most of the contracts with teachers here as to how you're going to get compensated, whether you get time in lieu or whether you get paid for it. And many teachers have talked about it, and everybody seems to be ignoring it. And I think that this gives the minister an opportunity to address that. I appreciate that the government has given them an increase in salary, but regardless if you bring my wages up from $5 an hour to $10 an hour, I appreciate it. You're my boss. Thank you so much. But we still need to talk about the fact that if I work past 5 o'clock, whether you're going to pay me or not.
Summer breaks, do teachers get paid during the summer holidays?
I think that there's still
they get a salary. So there's a give and take of sorts.
No. You see, this is where we disagree, OC, and this is my opinion, okay?
Because I only, in government, most people get the 28 days vacation pay, whether or not that's the equivalent to what the summer break for teachers is.
Okay. I think this obviously needs to be clarified. So let's just spend a little time on this, okay? So I sign up for a job, and the job says, listen, I'm going to pay you $5,000 a month for 12 months of the year. But out of those 2 months, there's 2 months where you're not going to have to be working. So you're suggesting that because you may have to work overtime outside of the scheduled hours that we've agreed to, that because I'm giving you what is perceived as 2 free months, that you shouldn't say anything about overtime. That's what you're suggesting.
Well, what I'm saying is one hand washes the other.
No. You see, in respecting employment, there needs to be clarity. Because let me ask you this. We can calculate how many hours are within those
and how do we know that there's not clarity? Is that
I'm telling you because the teachers have come to me. And even if the fact that they are wrong, I want to give the minister the opportunity to clarify it for the hundreds of teachers here so they know. There's too many teachers asking me. And I can't answer the question for them because I'm not on the government side. Now,
because I must say honestly, and I have all the respect in the world for teachers.
Yes.
And many of them, if they were into teaching for the money,
yes,
then many of them wouldn't be teaching now. They're not in there for the money. They're in there because they see it as a special calling.
Mm-hmm.
They're committed to their students and everything. But in all of my time, I have never heard any teachers question whether or not they should be compensated for the additional
maybe you
time
haven't,
that they're given. And I'm 6 to 7 years old now, so
and I have to respect those years.
I was in school from the time I was 9 months of age because my mother was a teacher.
Fair enough. But I mean, I'm not trying to create a situation that is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But let's think about it from an employer-employee perspective. Yes, I agree. The heart of the people, or most teachers are, I'll give as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But you have some people, it is a career too. I want to be a teacher, but I want to get paid as well. And because they're a teacher, that doesn't mean that we have to approach dealing with them in any different capacity. We have a contractual agreement. That's what employment is.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a discrepancy in this on some clear matters of that, we have to address. We can't just say, well, boy, you're a teacher, you're expected to do that. No.
No,
They
point well taken. I agree. And the government should be the one setting the example in this particular case in terms of ensuring that that the contracts are in such a way that basically those issues are covered.
Are clear.
One caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Sorry, excuse my voice, but in relation to the teachers and 2 months being off, I have to kind of stick a pin in there. They're not off for the full 2 months because, remember, they are preparing for the new year. A lot of the teachers go back to the school. They're fixing the classrooms. They're organizing things for students and stuff. So they're not off for those full 2 months. The students are off for the month, but not the teachers, not the principals, not the assistant principals. They are not off. They are preparing and getting ready for the new year.
Good point.
They may be off maybe for a month or something in there, but there's no way. And then there was teachers as well talking about salary. They have to organize themselves with a way to work with the budget, and I can only speak for the government school, the budget that the government gives them for their specific classes that they teach, which again is not a lot. So all of that they have to organize. So they're not off for the 2 months, guys.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you, caller. I think that was so good to clarify there. And you can see that there's some ambiguity as to the expectations and timing and all that. Like, I mean, how many extra days have you worked? What if I work overtime 3 hours a day for 10 months straight? I bet you that can add up to more than those 2 months or six weeks that is expected. So it needs to be clarified. That's all I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting the government is mistreating.
Yeah.
But
if it's not in the contract, then it
has to be clarified.
If it's not in there.
All right, moving on to the next question. And again, for those who are listening, if these questions are triggering thoughts or viewpoints in your mind and you want to hear them answered, remember to tell your representatives you want the answers to these questions, because it happens very often. You pose questions and they defer it, or they say I ain't ready, or they never answer, right? Or I've had a question in Parliament that I submitted in my first thing in the House, and up to now I got an answer to it yet. That's how it operates. So I want you to know, the reason why I'm telling the public right now is so the members know that you know that the question is there, but they are not answering it. So let's bear that in mind, folks. I need your help from the pressure from you to get them to do their job. Number 9, can the Premier say how often does the government has a cleanup program in Cayman Brac? And I know you've heard of this, OC, where there seems to be a more often occurrences of cleanup program in Cayman Brac than there is in Grand Cayman. That needs to be clarified. I love Cayman Brac. You know, my foundation comes from Cayman Brac. My mother is a Cayman Brac.
And when you say cleanup, this has to do with the work program?
Yeah, the Pride, basically the Pride program. Cayman Brac has something basically similar to that.
Okay.
But what I understand, and I've heard from people who work there that are on the job, that they do it like 5 or 6 times a year, while we do it once, or for the very first time we've had it twice, where we had a summer cleanup program. So I want to know what the difference is there, because it seems to be some specialties for Cayman Brac as opposed to Grand Cayman. Now, if it's because of the monies and you're kind of spreading it out over a period of time, and rather than doing it all on one weekend or something like that, you have to come and explain how that works. Because people in Grand Cayman, there's just as many people here who would love to do it 6 times of the year as opposed to doing it just once. Moving on to the next question.
You got to be careful with that one. You might not be able to go back to the Brac.
No. My Brackers understand. Matter of fact, most of my information came from the Brac. Person say, boy, Ken, we all right. We doing it for the X amount of time, but you guys only doing it once. So I got my information from the Brac. Mm-hmm. And my Brackers love me and I love them. So I'm always going to have my visa to go to Cayman Brac. Moving on. What is the Water Authority's replacement policy on road surfaces when working on public roads during repairs or installation? This came up as a result of frustrations from constituents in my area, where the Water Authority will go in, they cut the road, and then what they replace back is not equivalent to or better. And I don't want to undermine the Water Authority, because there's so many amazing people who work there, but we have to be more stringent in respect to keeping them to account, because so many times you go, oh, that road was so nice until Water Authority came through. Maybe we need to help them or give them some more money to help them.
Should it just be the Water Authority? Because there are other utility companies that go and dig up the road too. For communication lines and things of that nature as well.
You are 100% right, OC, and I agree. This question was specifically going to the Water Authority because it's under a minister. Now, CUC or any other company may be private. So I can ask, like, say, for instance, the Minister of Planning, Joey Hugh, what is he doing to control those private sector individuals from doing what they had to do right? But because the Water Authority falls under a government-owned company and it's a government-owned authority, I can put that question. It's not specific only to Water Authority.
But while it's a government-owned company, it acts autonomously.
Yes.
So in a way, you could take it and lump it with the others. And I would say in this particular instance, and you don't have to take my advice, but I would have presented that question to the minister responsible for road works, and that would encompass everyone into that, because at the end of the day, the NRA has...
I agree. I agree, and that's a good way to have done it, and hindsight is 20/20, right? But at this particular point, I don't think the planning minister would have known what the policy replacement of Water Authority is. Hence the reason I put it to the minister.
No, but the NRA has a replacement policy
that they have to adhere to.
That they have to adhere to in terms of bringing the road back to the original condition that it was in.
Good point.
Before you take, we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. Number one from the...
Morning, number one. How are you?
Good morning, number one. You know, I have a little beef to pick with you because when I came to Cayman Brac, I came to your house 3 times and you weren't home.
You came to my house?
That's right.
I hope you know where it is.
Okay, let me describe your house for you. Your house on a slight little slant, and you got some, I think you're getting trees out front. You got garage over on the right-hand side, and you got a little porch out front. All right, or am I wrong?
Yeah, but I don't have nothing. If I got, I think it's, forget it.
Go ahead. How you doing today?
I'm trying to live while I'm dying. I just want to say this to you.
Yes,
I hear you talking about where to do so many cleanup on Cayman Brac. My opinion is this. There's no work up here for the people, no, nothing else going on. Maybe that's why the government tried to do something to give the people some money, so they don't come and beg it.
Fair enough. Well, if that's the case, then there's plenty of Caymanians in Georgetown who need plenty of work. So if they're not going to work, if that's the idea or the ideology behind it, well, let's do some more cleanups for Georgetown too, because I got plenty of constituents in Georgetown Central who need the work. If that's the thinking behind it.
Yes, but my thinking is this: there's so many things going on down there that people might get work, but up here there's nothing going on.
Okay, well, good point. Thank you, number one.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Number one, we're taking our last commercial break for the morning. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
You remember the sale at Vamp Motors?
Yeah, the Your Sale, Your Choice, the one where you can get cash back or can put the savings to extend the warranty or upgrade features?
Yes, it's still going on, but now you can get $8,000 off a new Ford Ranger truck. $8,000, you know?
You for real?
Come see for yourself while they still have so much to choose from now through October. Save big during Your Sale, Your Choice at Vamp Motors. With almost every vehicle on sale, you decide whether to get your dream ride at its lowest price. Take cash back. Add years to the warranty or service plan. Choose an add-on or mix your options. Your sale, your choice, because you know what you need, and Vamp Motors will help you drive it home. Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Cayman's cruise industry must be preserved and developed. It is a myth that the cruise lines will continue to call on Cayman at the rate they do now without the piers. It is a fact that the mega-class ships will not be tendered. Arrivals will decline by half over time as the older ships are decommissioned. This will hurt our economy and thousands of Caymanians who work in this industry. If we want to continue providing opportunities for Caymanians, we need the piers. Support the piers. Support our tourism.
A trip to New York City is the experience of a lifetime. Starting this December, Cayman Airways will be offering daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman to New York City. That's right, Cayman Airways is going daily to New York City starting this December. Stroll through Central Park or take in the bright lights of Times Square, enjoy a Broadway show or visit museums, the Empire State Building, and so much more. Whether you're visiting for business or pleasure, you'll fall in love with New York City. And daily non-stop flights from Grand Cayman aboard Cayman Airways starting this December. For details and to book, call Cayman Airways reservations at 949-2311. Contact a travel agent or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of our show this morning with MLA, Mr. Kenneth Bryan.
Thank you so much, Josie. I'm going to see if I can get through these last 6 questions as quickly as I can.
Well, what we can do is we can hold the calls off now.
Yeah, I think it'd be good because I want to make people hear the questions, right?
Paul, we're going to hold the calls off for now.
The last one... Can the minister, and this is Minister for Doreen Seymour, can the minister give an update on measures the government is taking to help reduce the cost of health care? If there's any new strategies, at the end of the day, health care is probably one of the biggest expenses, particularly for seniors, and it's a concern for me. I want to know if there's things that they're thinking about, and this is a constant question I want to always put out there to remind them The seniors in this country are paying high health care costs, and they can't afford it, particularly with some of them that don't have high pensions to afford it. So I want to know if there's any update or if they're even considering it. Next question. Can the minister say what measures the government is taking to regulate property evaluators in Cayman? I don't know if you may remember, OC, but I put this question to her a while back, and she acknowledged that there's no regulations of property evaluators in the Cayman Islands. They're self-regulated. And she said on the floor of the House that the Honourable Minister Juliana O'Connor-Connolly said that she would bring it to her cabinet and caucus for considerations as to whether they should put in regulations as to these property evaluators. Okay. I haven't heard anything since. Mm-hmm. And I want to know whether they've considered it, because property evaluators, there are some who many think have acted inappropriate, that in the line of foreclosures, and it's a growing concern. You know, foreclosures is a big thing for me. I want to know that the government is on it. That was a whole year and all to go. I want to hear what the update is. Secondly, the next question, number 13, can the Attorney General say whether it is unconstitutional in any way to have a law that allows for a member of the private sector to be allowed to withdraw from a pension, but members of the public sector not be allowed to do the same? Now, the reason I ask that is many civil servants feel undermined to know that me in the private sector, or you in the private sector, you can go and withdraw from your pension to pay off your house. It's a law that I'm happy for. I'm glad that the Honourable Elio Solomon suggested it when he did. I improved it by increasing the amount recently. And I'm glad that Caymanians can take advantage of that. But the civil servants can't. Mm-hmm. Now, I feel that that's unfair. Now, yes, we have two different laws to deal with public sector pensions and private sector pensions. But from a constitutional perspective, how can you have two different laws for two different for the same human beings? And I need to know what basis, from a constitutional perspective, can you be allowed to do that? How can I look at one Caymanian and say, you can't do it, but he can do it? They need to answer that. I need that clarity, because too many civil servants feel deprived of that opportunity. And I think they have a right to that same opportunity. But if there's grounds upon which why they can't do that, they have to clarify it and what law they have the right to do it under. Okay. Moving on now. Can the minister can the minister say what happened to the previously graduated license program that the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License had planned to implement? I know that you may be aware of a while back, there was much studies and reports done on implementing a graduated program licensing scheme for young people. So you go in, you can get it, I think they said a little bit earlier, but you're only allowed to drive for a certain amount of time per week, and blah, blah, blah.
Age 16 or something like that.
Yeah. Now, there was much money spent in respect to that, but you never heard what happened to it. And the reason why I bring it up, because we know we've had a recent conference lately that spoke about safety on the roads. And in that conference, which was held at the Ritz-Carlton, I'm so glad I went to that, because it offered up some of the safety procedures in respect to roads and driving. And one of the best systems for drivers is actually a graduated program. So to know that we spent money to research it through that department, and to know it just went away, there has to be a reason. What happened? What transpired? What's the logic behind cancelling it? They never move forward. Is it because they didn't find it was going to be suitable? People need to know. I would like to know as well. Question number 15. Can the Minister for Transport say how many bus stops do we have in Grand Cayman? And this is yet again another question that I saw as a result of that conference. The conference, the main speaker came in and talked about one of the best ways to get our roads safer, and particularly to public transport, is more bus stops. The reason that one of the most unsafe transport system styles is this ad hoc stop and go. You never know when a bus driver is going to stop. and it gives a higher risk of accident. If the drivers knew that bus drivers are only allowed to stop at the bus stops, eventually over routine, coming up in another couple of meters, there's going to be a bus stop. So the bus is most likely going to stop. So you prepare yourself. And if we were to give adequate amount of bus stops across the island, we could reduce a lot of the risk involved with persons on bus. Because what I'm worried about one day, OC, is that we may have a serious accident with a bus load of people, and then we're going to cry about it. We have to be proactive so we can prevent these types of situations. Yeah. And hopefully that question will address that.
If I could go back to your graduated learner's permit situation,
yes.
I believe some of the drivers that we have on the road now need to be on graduated permits. Seriously, a lot of them, especially at night, most of them don't know what a dip switch is.
Yep.
They're driving with the high beams on. In the mornings, even on a Sunday morning when we're riding, very few cars on the road, and those drivers are coming out with their high beams on. I swear they don't know where a dip switch is. Yeah. And then the other crazy drivers that think that the roads
belong to them.
Are a racetrack. Are racetracks. That's another issue as well.
It is. I agree. And you see the importance of where improvements could happen. So why did we dump it? Why did we just let it go? What happened to it? Yeah. The last question, because I know we're about to be finished, it says, can the minister say why does a visiting musical talent have to get an endorsement from the Music Association in order to have a work permit approved?
I could answer that one for you. That goes back a long way.
Yes.
And it was something that was sanctioned by the Music Association in the Cayman Islands. It was sanctioned by them because they weren't able to have a voice in when foreign acts came to the Cayman Islands. And in many instances, what they also were pushing for is that when you had a foreign act, that they would normally be, I forget what you call it in the music industry, but the introductory acts and stuff like that would be Caymanian. So that would opening act. So that was something that was championed by the Music Association.
Do you think that was a good policy?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Well, here's a little secret, and the reason why I put this question, and I think the ministry know that I'm coming about it. There's now something called the VWV. You know what that is? It's called the Visitors Work Visa.
Okay.
Many talents, musicians and artists are coming now through that process. But with that process, you're not obligated to get the endorsement from the Music Association. So they're now circumventing that one thing you just said, which is the opportunity for a musician.
And why isn't that obligation there? Why isn't that obligation?
You need to tell the government to answer that exact same question.
Or is that somebody's interpretation that is issuing the work permits, their interpretation that I guess you would have to look at the wording of the regulation in relation to getting the approval or at least consulting with the Music Association. But whether or not that is someone's interpretation, and that interpretation could be correct or it could be incorrect as well. So that's something to look at. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting because the truth is...
Well, of course, they didn't. When I was around in immigration, we didn't have that
kind of unclarity.
Visitors.
Exactly. But so here's the thing, right? There's two main reasons why I believe the Music Association endorsement was there. Is for one, the continuous exposure for our talent in the Cayman Islands, as well as fundraising for the Music Association, because you have to give a small fee for the endorsement.
Yes, right.
So that's how they raise their funds to help their local talent to grow. So there's a purpose for that endorsement. But it's good if there's now been created a loophole to get around the two most important things, exposure and fundraising, then you ultimately undermine the whole music culture in the whole of the Cayman Islands because people are circumventing the process. So ultimately we're going to get to that in there. And it's happening. The Music Association I've met with them. They're concerned about it. So we're going to get to that. Because maybe the government doesn't even quite realize that the new creation of the VWV, which is a work visa.
And can you repeat your question? How do you have...
I don't want to preempt and tell the government too much, okay? So don't because I know they're listening.
Yeah.
But there's supplementary questions, remember that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I don't want to throw my game out there and then I lose. Because if they see what I'm trying to...
Because I was curious whether or not you didn't just simply ask the question about the the difference between the two types of permits.
No, the reason I didn't do that is because...
bear in mind that your supplementary... I shouldn't say bear in mind, because I'm not a legislator. I've never been in the legislative assembly other than to visit there or, to give testimony.
But I want to hear your opinion.
To me, the person answering the question, as well as the speaker's influence, can control the supplementary as opposed to the substantive question.
I know, but here's my question then. I mean, okay, let's spill the beans so they can know what's happening. I say to you, can you tell me the reason for the endorsement from the Music Association? They're going to answer me just like you just did. And I'm going to say, okay, well, if the foundation behind that is to grow our local talent and for fundraising, why is it that the visitors work visas process doesn't have the same obligation for talent? Simple. So I know what I'm doing. I've actually reached out to the government already, I called the chief officer, I said, this is a problem. I don't want to bring everything to the parliament floor, but if I'm not going to get it behind closed doors, I'm going to bring it to the people's attention. So the Music Association represents all Cayman talent, and they're circumventing the process with this visitors work visa. And I think they have to address it. I'm just hoping that we can address it in a positive way, find a solution. Maybe it's just a mishap. Maybe they didn't just quite, we forgot to add the requirement of a music association endorsement on there. Maybe that's all that happened. But whatever it is, we have a policy in place to help grow our own. You can't just create another loophole and forget about it. So that's the point behind that. OC, if you allow me, the last thing I want to do,
go ahead.
before we head off, is that I'm bringing a motion to Parliament, and I hope that it's a motion that is important to me because I think it's going to solve a long-term problem that's been an issue for us for quite some time. Oh my God, I can't even seem to bring it up. Oh, it's coming up now. And I want to just read it before I leave.
Go right ahead.
Come on. There we go. And it has to do with flooding. We've had this issue with flooding for many decades now, and it's going to continue to become a problem because of development. And I look forward to having this debate, and I hope that the government will eventually agree to it. And it has been seconded. It will be seconded by the Honourable Opposition Deputy Leader, Alva Suku. And my motion reads as such. Whereas flooding related to heavy rains, storms, and other sources continue to be a major concern for residents of the Cayman Islands, and whereas many Caymanians are losing property and property values amounting to the millions of dollars due to flooding issues, and whereas the government's approach to dealing with storm and rain water drainage is not comprehensive and lacks a clear national plan, and whereas the government current ad hoc approach to dealing with flooding issues is not effective or efficient, be it therefore resolved that the government considers creating a national storm and rainwater management plan, and be it further resolved that the government considers allocating the resources to implement and execute the national storm and rainwater management plan, including the requisite legislation, regulation, and policies. The reason why I want to bring this up is, after much research, there seems to be no clear plan on how we handle flooding in this country. We've heard about regulations with planning and how people's ability to uplift their land affects other places. We have to, roads are being built and it's changing the flow of water and the disbursement of water in the natural, normal way that we've done over the years. We need to have a plan to deal with this because as we continue to grow, it's going to affect more and more people, and it has to be done in a systematic way with proper legislation, regulations, and policies that encompass all agencies, planning, NRA, all the like. And there's ways outside of our jurisdiction that has already been implemented that we can simply duplicate, and we have to address it. Cumber Avenue, Swamp, Crew Road, Walker's Road. I can name so many places that continue year in and year out be over flooded because we do not have a proper drainage national storm water and rainwater management system. It's time now that we give those persons who live in those zones the security to say they're not going to lose everything that they own, or that the value not going to be depreciated because of flooding. We have to protect the people. The one job for representatives is to make sure people can have a safe roof over their head. Flooding compromises that. We have to address it. I hope that, and I look forward to this debate. I want to thank the Deputy Opposition Leader so much because he also has concerns in the Newlands area in respect to flooding. So I look forward to the debate, and I thank him so much for seconding this motion for me. And I look forward to actually discussing it in Parliament because I think that it's something that all members should be concerned about and agree to.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Bryan. Just before I close off, I just want to read something. And I had been asking myself about the project manager or this firm for the culling of the iguanas, and I see where the Department of Environment has now issued a statement in relation to the selection of firm to manage the iguana cull. And it says the Department of Environment, DOE, has selected Cayman-based Cornwall Consulting as the project manager for the upcoming 2018-2019 Green Iguana Cull project, following a competitive bidding process involving 5 firms. And it talks about the cull being the effect and the fact that 340 registered Caymanians, for the cull. And it goes on to say Cornwall Consulting, led by Carl Noble, will be responsible for accepting delivery of the deceased green iguanas at the landfill and keeping count of the deliveries. The company is also tasked with paying the cullers for each deceased green iguana delivered. Payments will be made every 2 weeks. Cornwall Consulting was chosen following the issuance of a request for proposal on the 30th of August 2018 by the DOE and was selected by the government's procurement committee as the bid winner due to its strong record of financial management and accounting experience. Cornwall Consulting signed a contract to manage the 2018-2019 Green Iguana Cull project with the Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture, Housing on Friday the 19th of October. I just want to say, and I hope that the principals of Cornwall Consulting are listening, that the government that it was agreed that you could deliver the iguana heads as well. You don't, not necessarily the whole body. You can deliver the iguana heads. When people go to deliver those heads, there should be no controversy when they get there in that regard, right? I think the other part of it is, too, that we know people have been proactive and they have been culling the iguanas before. Mm-hmm. That needs to be honored as well. As long as they bring the heads there, their iguana heads, because we know some of these companies now, they like to nitpick and stuff like that. You have a program going here. Don't get it engulfed in any sort of petty controversy with these people who are going out there, busting their chops to cull the iguanas. Don't try to nickel and dime them when they come to collect their money, because we know that there are some companies, we know that there are some organizations, we know that there are some nationalities, and I'm not going to apologize for saying it. There are some nationalities who like to nickel and dime people and like to shortchange them. We do not want to hear that with this iguana culling project. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work. whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.